Hi boys and girls, it's me Butch. I just moved into my new studio a little while ago, and this is my second day of painting, and I thought I'd let you in on some of the secrets to painting with acrylics, because acrylics are really difficult. They can dry extremely fast, so you shouldn't be paying attention to whatever it is you see here. It's just something I'm trying to fix up and get me back into painting. Sort of a study I'm doing. I'm not trying to teach you how to paint a tree or how to paint a mountain. What I'm trying to do is get into your head some basic things you need to know about acrylics. And the main problem with acrylics is they dry extremely fast. So when you go to your art supply store, you'll end up buying a canvas. Here's a canvas. It already has some white gesso on it and it's ready to go. You should always check that the sides are level and you just check them out before you buy it. And then I gesso all of my canvases with this one's a linen canvas, but I gesso all of my canvases with 2 or 3 coats of gesso, even though they're already gessoed, and I put a little bit of red oxide in with the gesso and a little bit of water. So this is 2 or 3 coats of gesso, and that's just a bit of red oxide mixed in with the gesso. So the main problem with acrylics is they dry extremely fast, and there is a way to get around that. And if you haven't painted with acrylics already, what you need to know is that the color in the tube is not the color it's going to be when it dries. And it's going to dry darker than that. Whatever it is, it's going to dry darker than whatever you see. So you're just going to have to get to learn your colors and what works for you. But remember that acrylics dry a lot darker than what you're putting on, and the color may seem to be quite a bit different, and you're just going to have to learn from experience what's what. So this painting here, just so you know what colors I am using, the dark green, this is underpainting up here. Just, that's something you'll have to learn, is that you can't really just paint acrylics in one shot unless you're really extremely experienced. Because the paints are always a little bit transparent, so you have to sort of start with some sort of outline and just start blocking in all your areas and work your way up from your background forward, and layer your colors to build up intensity. So what I'm using here today is I'm sort of going to work up these foreground trees, and the 2 main colors I'm going to use are Hooker's Green and Brilliant Yellow Green. Brilliant Yellow Green. This is a Liquitex color. I guess I like it because I have some more of it ready to go here. Brilliant Yellow Green. Anyhow, this is the most freakish bright yellow green you can find. And also I might have a bit of this green gold, which is from Golden. And so that's going to be it. It's going to be Hooker's Green and this really vivid limey greeny stuff, and a little bit of that gold green. And I find the best thing, I hope you're going to be able to see this, is I just have a dish, and these are just leftovers, dishes from, microwave dinners. And I have in here a lot of water and a considerable amount of matte medium. And I may have squirted in some acrylic glazing, but basically we want to keep everything really soupy in the dish there, so nothing starts drying up too quickly. It might start drying up around the edges there, but I have acrylic matte medium, and you want lots of medium of some sort. Glossy might be a bit over the edge for most, so matte or satin works. Lots of water, and I will have squirted in, I think I used the last of my Hooker's Green from that little tube. Here's a brand new tube. This paint straight out of the tube will dry almost black looking. It'll be like really it'll be almost black. If you didn't have bright light, you might think it was black, and what it is, it'll be like a greeny black. So you can almost use that straight up for a deep shadow if you want in a tree, if you don't know what else to use. And the brilliant yellow green here, I'll put another swab of that. I'm going to put it over here because that's where it was before, and it's getting kind of murdered in there with the rest of the stuff. And a little bit of this green gold, which is just sort of the aberration color. So that's sort of that's the genetic screw up on the Y chromosome there of that green. There'll be a bit of that here and there, and somehow it'll just be there. And the brush I'm going to use, is a lettering brush. It's this one's in a Robert Simon's E50 script. It's a number 2 lettering brush, sort of a sable brush. And since it's really easy to splatter things around, and I've been working on the background, you want to take some paper towels or something, and try and protect some of the area you're not working on. Now, when I got the brilliant idea to do this video, I took this back off and I screwed things up, so now I've got to sort of fix it. But see, this is still a bit wet from when I was working before. But what I want to do is teach you this idea. You paint horizontally. You have to have some sort of little table arrangement of some sort. I have a little cabinet on wheels with some boards on top of that. And you want to be really, really careful, because before you start working on any area, and I'll start working up here a bit, you don't want to be dripping anything, but we got to get it nice and wet. So my slop here is mostly Hooker's green mix, but the real object is, before I start doing much of anything, is that little blocked in area. I want to get it soaked. So this method is a little unpredictable, and you may not want to try and come up with a finished look on the first shot until you get some experience with this kind of thing. But the real object here is to teach you to paint wet in wet. The problem with acrylics is if you try to use them right out of the tube, they're going to dry so fast. You know, you couldn't blow your nose so fast sometimes, especially if you live in a dry area. And you can try misters, and you know, I have a mister here. I use it for some things, especially when I'm trying to blend a background sky. But what you need to know here is not how I'm painting a tree, not what color I'm using. It's the idea of painting wet in wet. So if you have a little particular area you're going to work on, you can either just put straight water on it if you want, or in this case, it's a mix of my background green, which is just fine, because who knows exactly what color it'll dry. It'll be darker than whatever I see here, that I know. And I just want to really soak up and get lots of water on the area that I'm going to work on. So you will evolve your own way of doing whatever it is you do, but the thing you're going to want to remember is you're going to paint wet and wet. And the way you can achieve that is by having your canvas in a horizontal position, and then the water isn't going to suddenly run off and spoil that skyline or whatever it is that you worked on for hours and hours and hours. It'll just stay pretty much where it is, and if you're careful not to drip or drop anything, you could have the next 2 hours working on this if you wanted. I don't recommend you overwork things too much, but you know, it's going to take you a while to figure out what's what, and if you let a few things dry, you'll say, well, that isn't what it looked like when I painted it. And that's part of it. Until you learn how to predict things a bit better, you won't know exactly how it'll dry, but that's part of the magic of it too, is that you'll have a randomness that you couldn't achieve in any other way. That's kind of what Impressionism, I can't even say the word, Impressionism is sort of about in a way anyway, is, you know, because of the way light falls on things, that kind of thing. It'll be a little bit up to how it dries, and then how people view what dries. So like an idiot, I didn't look at the clock before I started this because I don't want to go over 15 minutes. But I'm not going to go on and on too much here. So I've got all of this area wet up here. Now I know I want this area up here really dark, so I'm plunging right into my Hooker's green there, which with a really soaking wet brush, and trying not to drop anything on here. And I'm literally dropping almost liquid Hooker's green on there. And if I don't want any ridges, I'm going to have to knock them down. But you can see that I don't really care if this will still be wet 5 minutes from now. It's not going to go anywhere. And over on the other side here, where I want some highlights, say maybe on the top of the branch where my light's coming from over here anyway, I can start throwing in some quite thick blobby blobs of this brilliant yellow color here. This brilliant yellow green, and I want it, oops, see, like there, I just did, and that's going to have to be, I don't want to wipe it off, so now that's a little branchy thingy up there. There's another one. So you have to be careful when the paint is really wet like this, because you can splash it really easily, and I guess because I'm yakety-yakking here, I'm not paying attention in the way I should. So this is extremely wet up here. Who knows what it's going to look like when it's dry, but if I introduce quite a bit of this bright stuff up here, it's going to settle in there. And I want it to be also on the bottom of my branch over here, which is more in shade. And the bottom of this will probably be in shade. So I don't want this video to get too long. The object you need to know here is paint horizontally. Use tons of water. Experiment a bit. And learn to paint wet in wet, and you may come up with some things that will surprise you. You can take this sort of general concept of a technique now and run with it in your own style of painting, whatever it might be. And you may discover a whole new way of painting that, you know, just never dawned on you before. Like, how do I keep that darn stuff wet? Well, in a bowl. So I think I've yakety-yacked on enough here, and it's a little hard for me to concentrate on what I'm doing and talk at the same time. I haven't totally mastered that, even though I'm a motor mouth at heart. It was just to show you this idea, and of course if you're going to paint in acrylics you have to have some water on hand for your brushes. Never leave your brushes out there. That'll be the end of that brush. And a little source of clean water, and a bottle for misting you can buy at a dollar store. So horizontal, wet in wet. That's a major secret in painting with acrylic. This is Butch. I'm going to shut up now, and I wish you all the best of luck in your painting endeavors. I'm coming around behind the camera now. I'm going to push the button now. 2, 1, 0. Bye from Butch.